Yes, yes, yes. Welcome, come well to another episode, another doorway, another portal entitled Amias as I am, most importantly, as you are. Just want to take a moment out to thank my subscribers as well, once again, for subscribing to the channel, all my thinkers, all my listeners, all my seekers, those who find a connection to this specific path, the specific way of life, the specific way of being. Um, it is very much appreciated. The acknowledgement is appreciated. Also to a few who have reached out to me as well. Things will things will happen. Make things happen. um, Today's video title is entitled "Do You Have a Mind?" This question may sound a little crazy to certain people because we all think that we actually do have a mind. Um, but the reality is we have potential to access it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we actually access its full potential, or we don't actually access it. So we don't primarily harness it. This will go more into detail or deeper explaining of what I'm talking about and what today's video is based on. So once again, today's video, the title is "Do You Have a Mind?" Okay, so those who are familiar with the channel and familiar with the ways of how I touch upon topic by topic, or line for line, what I call doorway for doorway, and together we both walk down this mind hallway, or this mental hallway. Okay? So the first line in our doorway is we don't have our own minds. We all just share mind intelligence. We do not have our own minds. There's just mind, and we share corners and spots and spaces of this intelligence called mind. So we all share one house of mind, one room of mind. My corner may be sitting in the corner somewhere of the room to the left. Your corner of mine may be sitting somewhere to the corner of the right side of the room. There's just mind. There's not your mind and my mind and his mind and her mind. There's just mind. This is the realm based on mind. Okay, before we start to individualize or make things separate from each other. You have your mind, I have my mind. No. Even if you have your mind and I have my mind, this conversation connects through one word called mind. See what I'm saying? So we just share our respective corners, spots, spaces of this intelligent realm called mind. This is why they say all is mind. I'm saying this is the realm of mind. I don't know what the next realm of existence is going to be based upon or about, but this is the realm based upon mind. Okay. First, understand that before we go further. Okay. Next doorway is, remember, this is for my thinkers. This is for people who actually can think or know how to think, not how to have thoughts or create thoughts or get trapped in the slides of their thoughts, but actually know how to think, which is actually kinetic energy, keeping something in motion. You don't get stuck in one slot of a thought. You constantly transcend beyond that. thought, have a thought, and then transcend beyond that thought. And this transcending is the thinking process for those of us who are thinkers. Okay. Um, Before I go forward, let me just say this. For some reason, the Spirit had wanted me to say this for a minute before I even start today's lesson. I'm not just teaching about mind. This goes according to all my videos and what I touch upon, the principles of life, the subtleties of life, the subliminals of life, of this existence. This is what I teach upon. This is what I teach throughout my videos. Okay? So this is in relation with all that altogether. Okay? I'm not just teaching about mind, spirit, soul, and the transparent nature for no reason. There is a reason far beyond even what I myself can fathom and understand. A reason that has not yet revealed itself to me, but still in all propels me forward to consistently share these truths video after video. Even though truthfully, I don't know why, but I just know and feel, I just know it and I feel that a major event is going to take place at some time, where everyone and everything in this life will be affected by it in some way, shape, or form. It's not so much of a physical event, but of a psycho-spiritual event, a psycho-spiritual shift. And if you are not aligned and in tune with this kind of gnosis, you will indefinitely be left behind in the shadowlands of nowhere, the shadowlands of degress and digress. What I share on this channel are simply mind tools to shift perceptions, because a shift of perception is a switch of dimension. And hidden dimensions are now being shown and piercing into our present dimension, moment to moment, second to second, minute to minute, until the final crossing over has completed. But without your shift of perception, you will not gain access into its new reality, a reality which has no body, a reality which has no brain, only a soul, a mind, and a direct divine connection to source. I don't know why I just said all this. Most importantly, I don't care to know, because I'm just a messenger with the message. Take the message for what it's worth, if it's of any value to you and yours. Um, and let's move forward. Okay. But to emphasize on what was just said, something major is going to take place. How do I know? Because something major is already taking place. So when I say something major is about to take place between time and space, I'm not saying as if it hasn't already occurred. It's already here. And it's not no physical event where you look out for something to happen outside of you, somewhere around you. No, it's happening internally. These videos I share is based upon principle, spiritual gnosis, the soul, energy work, forces, elements. And all these things say no body, no human 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 body. And I'm very well in tuned and aligned with the transparent communication of being. Um, that's just my calling. That's just my path. It doesn't make me better. It doesn't make me worse than the next person. It just makes me be. Okay. And these things that I share throughout these videos to be of nobody, um, or to void the body, or to be void of a body, is because something is going to take place where you have to be void of a body in order to enter into that next paradigm of existence, which is actually taking place now, and the crossover is already occurring as I'm speaking in this very moment that I'm holding this video and that you're listening to this video. So it's kind of an unknown preparation which it has me preparing others for, unbeknownst to me. Okay, take it for what it's worth. Okay, the next line or doorway is: there is no brain without mind. Even though people have potential to access their mind, they don't necessarily access the full power and potential of it. Some have momentary access to it by chance, while others have most access to it by choice. This chance or choice is determined by one's knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the brain's nature, along with discipline of stillness and silence within self. Before mind crosses over into the physical body, it goes through the filtering of the brain. Okay? And this thinking apparatus, this thinking intelligence, when it goes through the brain into the body, it can either get stuck within the brain as what we know as a thought, or it can supersede thoughts and keep the body and being in transformation and in transcendence of its true nature. Okay? But the mind can only get through to the body through the filtering and the medium and the median of the brain. Mind is not the brain. The brain is not mind. The brain is a physical representation of the mind. The mind is the invisible representation or the transparent representation of the brain. The mind is the free thing. The brain is the entrapping thing. But the freedom has to go through the entrapment in order to enter into this dimension, in this reality, which is the physical body and the being, and how its beingness is according to its connection to the mind. Okay, so yes, people have access to it. Of course, you have to have access to it. Just like you can't be here, all is mine. In this place, all is mine. Just like you can't be here unless you have some kind of traces of melanin, some kind of melanocytes in the skin. You cannot be here in this melanated mind realm. So we all have mind, but it doesn't mean that you activate your mind or you even enter or access your mind to activate it. Just because you have melanin doesn't mean that you can tap into your melanin and activate it. There has to be a certain divine spark of enlightenment that happens to you for you to acknowledge and recognize and realize the existence of it in order to tap into it and reap the benefits from it. Okay? So that's why I said some people have access to it here and there by chance, which is the mind is just someone who can think for themselves. That's what the mind is. It means that you actually can think for yourself. You don't get stuck in thoughts. You can break out of the thought. You can even recognize the thought. Because the mind is the only thing that recognizes the thought. So right now, if you say, yeah, I recognize my thoughts, I can see where how I act the way I act, why I speak the way I speak, why I talk the way I talk, why I walk the way I walk. Yeah, I understand that because I remember back when I was 10 years old, back when I was 15, or back when I was this age, my sister, my brother taught me how to do this, my mother told me that. My father, I can see that, and I can see that, which means that the one who is seeing that is the mind, because you can see the program, you can see the subconscious trainings that you went through as a child. The brain cannot see that because the brain is the thought itself. The thought cannot see another thought. Only the mind can see thought. Thought cannot see mind. Thought cannot see thought. Mind can see thought. Okay? Thought is, I'm going to go more into it, what these thoughts are, what they represent, and the intelligence of its nature and its purpose. The next doorway is, I don't know if you heard this saying before, but this is a very ancient or antiquitous saying. The saying is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Which means, when you are ready, I will appear. Not I, but the I within you. When the you within you is ready, the I within you will appear. Okay? When you begin to educare or educare, that means to draw out, to pull out. That's when you begin to start developing the groundwork of a foundation of a mind. It is the conjuring aspect. You're conjuring up a mind. You're pulling a mind out. You have to draw it out. It's the recognizing, pulling out, and drawing forth of its existence and its purpose. The mind. When you switch, the mind is when you switch from input mode to output mode. The mind is when you no longer look for something outside of you to feed you. The mind is when you begin feeding yourself and feeding on yourself, like fasting. The fasting is a certain intelligence connected with the intelligence of mind. It's feeding on itself. It's not looking or seeking for anything to feed it. It feeds on itself and it feeds itself. That is the intelligence of mind, or someone who has a mind, who has cultivated their mind. Okay? How do I recognize? How do I activate the mind? All you have to do is simply acknowledge the mind, acknowledge that there is a mind. Once that happens, you immediately suspend out of the dimension of brain and cross over into the realm of mind. And when this happens, you become conscious of the brain's workings, i.e., the programs, identities, personalities, and no longer are conscious as the programs anymore. You step out of cyclic behavior and begin the spiraled intelligence of being. Okay. Thoughts are in the brain. The brain, these thoughts create personalities, identities, maintain idiosyncrasies, um, human behaviors. You see, and even me talking to you right now, recognizing this means I'm talking to you from the intelligence of mind. I'm not talking to you from the intelligence of the brain. I'm talking to you from the intelligence of mind. Because I'm able to see even my personalities and my identities, my programs, my cyclic behavior, my human behavior, my identities, personalities. I don't know if I said that already. I'm able to see them as characters and little figurines that I was at one time for whatever reason to survive whatever situation I found myself in or I put myself in. I'm able to see that past in the present moment. This is when you are of mind, or you are actually accessing or crossing over into the activation of mind. Or you are of the mind in this moment, looking back at your thoughts, looking back at the brain. Okay? So this is why you no longer become cyclic behavior, you become the spiraled intelligence. Spiraling means, like I said before, circle is a new shape. The most ancient shape is a spiral because you can spiral in towards the spirit or you can spiral out towards human behavior. The whole point of this mission and this path and this purpose and these videos and this gnosis is to spiral inward back to the nothingness. Because the nothingness is the transparent or the transcending nature. And the transcending nature is the true intelligence of your being. It's your true birthright. It's your true divine inheritance. Okay? So how do you wake up the mind within you? All you have to do is simply recognize that you have a mind and it's already activated. But it doesn't mean that you are going to have free, full access to it at all time, because depending upon the amount and the influence of your thought patterns and the personalities and identities which try to possess you in that moment you are of the mind. The mind is a threat to the personality and identity and the ego as well. Not really too much the ego, because the ego just hopping from one personality to another, one identity to another. But the personality and the identity, to be conscious, to acknowledge that you have a mind and something called the mind is there, that automatically separates you from the brain. How long you stay in that moment is dependent upon you, depending upon how possessed you become with these personalities and identities pop up, because they're going to pop up as soon as you are of mind. It does not want you to see it. It just wants you to be it. That's what thought is. That's what personalities and identities are. They just want you to be it. They do not want you to see it. Once you see it, then you are somewhere else and you are no longer them. See, that's the science. That's how the science goes. But once you see them, they're very highly influential that you will draw right back into them and then be them. So that pull doesn't necessarily mean freedom. That pull can very well mean that their pull will get stronger to pull you back. It's like a rubber band. A rubber band is regular when you're just holding a rubber band string. When you begin to pull, the pulling effect strengthens the resistance. And it strengthens the pull back, the snap back. So as you're pulling away, say this is the brain and this is the mind. When you're pulling away and opening your mind, the resistance and the snapback becomes stronger. So it tries to pull you back into the thought and the personality and the identity. Simultaneous at the same time. Be very aware of that. Okay? So yeah, to be of the mind is to pull out, to draw out, to call forth, to bring forth. You have to bring forth your mind. You have to pull out your mind. Just because you have a mind doesn't mean that you are going to get full access to it. You have potential to, but it doesn't mean that you are going to become the possibility. Okay? It's just principle, not personal. The next doorway is being of the mind is being of the soul. What do you mean by that? Because the soul is rebellious. The mind is rebellious. It's the freedom pursuing intelligence. The mind is the freedom pursuing intelligence. It breaks free from the intellect. Intellect is of the brain. The mind is a leading intelligence of its own faith. It leads itself. It doesn't seek a leader or look for a leader somewhere. It is the very leading intelligence itself. This is once again how you can decipher who is of the mind and who is of the brain. Who's looking for a leader and who's actually leading themselves. Who is following a leader, who is actually just a follower of their own leading nature. This is opening a whole nother dimension of a reality right in front of you, right around you, immediately. Because as soon as you recognize mind, the intelligence of mind starts to pull you in towards it. Because it is you. It's not separate from you. It's not distant from you. It is you. But it is the you that you forgot you had. Okay? It is the rebellious one. The mind and the soul are kind of synonymous to each other. The spirit follows orders, the soul gives the orders. This is also not how you can also decipher not just who's of the brain and who's of the mind. You can also decipher who's of the spirit and who is of the soul. So you see now this conversation has extended from the mind to the soul. But it's the same damn thing. Have you accessed your inner leader? Have you taken all the information that you have learned from the systems of gnosis, the systems of religion, the systems of spirituality and spiritual nature, and took it all in and made something of it which is your own, uniquely your own? Because once you do that, then you put on the divine suit that was tailor-made specifically, uniquely for you. This is when you become a chaos being. This is the understanding of the chaos being. The one who just cannot find themselves to conform. It's a book I have here, so this is a pretty good book too. The Miracle of Mind Dynamics. The Miracle of Mind Dynamics by author Joseph Murphy. The Miracle of Mind Dynamics. Okay. Also, this is called Psychology Applied to Work. Also another good one as well. But this one is way more complex. I'm for the simple minds and the simple minds. And a lot of other things in my life. A lot of different things. So that is true faith. The mind is the soul is the faith. So some people say, yeah, I'm of faith, but then they count on something else to guide them. That is not being of faith. This is about, if I was to put it in that kind of understanding, becoming your own God, in a way of understanding. Just one way of putting it, okay? For those who understand what I'm saying, but more specifically, how I'm saying it, okay? To be of a mind is to be your own God. To work on the principles of manifestation until it enhances more and more within you. To work on the principles of life. To be of true faith. This is the soul's nature. This is the mind's nature. Okay? The mind is a leading intelligence or an intelligence of leadership. One's own leadership, self-leadership. You're not looking for a god or gods outside of you. You are it and it is you, and there is no separation. Okay? That's why this path is kind of a lonely path. I won't say lonely, then implies company may be needed. You are going to be alone in your mind, even around people, even around atmospheres and environments, you are going to be very alone. And leaders roll alone. I don't need a crowd around me. I don't need people to talk to. I don't need people to gossip with. I don't need nobody around me but myself. If people find themselves around me, so be it. Fine. If I find myself around individuals and people, so be it. Fine. But I don't seek to be around people. And my energy and my appearance and my presence gives that permeation off. Because people don't find themselves around me. It's more like a, what you call that damn thing? I forgot what you call it, but it's something that keeps, something about you will glow that will keep people at a distance, at bay, away from you, away from your person, away from your aura. And you're not doing it intentionally. It's just something radiating from you that you can't help because you're a leader, because you are a mind being. You enjoy your mind. You embrace the activities of your mind, the activity of applying principle to see the results of your application and then become thrilled off of that and can thrive from that. See? So it gets more clearer as we go. The next doorway is this is for people who are follow movements, who follow congregations, who follow groups, who follow crowds. Uh, this, I guess you could say, this is more of the person who relies on something outside of them, or God outside of them, or people around them, and what they speak and what they teach. Uh, More of a relying mindset, or if you want to say, a kind of based on religious or religious mind. Okay. The next doorway is receiving information from someone can have a very gluing and magnetic effect on another learning mind, i.e., the one on the receiving end, the one who is learning something. This shows one if one is looking for a following or of a leading of self. So basically, that just means that this shows you whether you are a true follower or whether you are a true leader. Just because you receive information from somebody or someone or some people or some movement or some religion or some spiritual system, whatever it may be, it can be religion or spiritual, it doesn't matter. There's no discrimination when it comes to the gnosis. Receiving something from someone or some people or some movement, if you are not aware, if you are not of the mind and you are of the brain, you are going to follow them. You are going to take their word undoubtedly because you have not became God yourself. You have not became the generator, operator, and destroyer, the God. So you're going to follow somebody else that speaks upon another God which they preach does not reside within you. See, you become kind of a dog sniffing the ass of another dog, in a way of saying. You become the blindfolded following another blindfolded person or another blindfolded people. There's nothing wrong and there's nothing right to it. This is not based upon judgment. This is not based upon who's good and who's bad, who's better, and who's worse off. It has nothing to do with it. Because people that were in religions or spiritual systems or different systems, institutions of gnosis and knowing of self, or that worshipped gods outside of their orbit, uh, woke up and left certain places left certain institutions, left certain congregations, left certain temples, and they went inner, they went innate, they became insidious, they went inside. So you see, it goes both ways. This reality, this knowledge, this wisdom, this understanding is a double-edged sword. Some people need to follow to become their own leader. Or some people need to follow a leader to begin leading their self. See, so this is not bashing religion. This ain't bashing spiritual system. This is not bashing anything. Remember, this channel and these principles which I touch upon video after video was based upon understanding, not judgment. Judgment leads to emotion, emotion leads to feeling, and once again you become trapped and stuck and anchored back in the damn body and the physical imprisonment. Stop having this body feel something all the time. Give feeling a rest. Stop having this body become emotional all the damn time. Take a vacation from emotion. Seek something other than. But you see the trick to this, only way that you're going to do that is if you have a damn mind. If you don't have a mind, you are imprisoned within judgment. You are a prisoner of emotion, and you are a fool of feeling. Which means you will always fail this lesson, this path, this channel, this message, this understanding. Okay? Very important. Be very aware of that gluing and magnetic effect when listening to somebody else that's telling you that your savior is something and somewhere and someone outside of your ass. Very, very, very aware when you're listening to something or even reading something or following something or part of something. But you got to think about this. Everybody in that group or that following wouldn't be shit without each individual choosing to follow that. So what does that mean? There's no such thing as a group. There would be no such thing as a group. There would be no group in existence if it wasn't for the purpose of the individual. The individual is what makes up a group. There is no group or no crowd without the one. What does that say? And if you are of the mind in this very moment that what I'm saying to you is going to hit you like a ton of bricks, what does that say about the one? About one. Even when babies are born, you can have conjoined twins. Join at the hip, join at the head, join at the shoulder, whatever. They come out the womb one by one, even when they're joined. You can only be in your mind in this moment. You can only be in your body in this moment. You can only be right here in this moment, in this present moment, right now, by yourself as one. What does that say about one? The intelligence of one. There is no many without one. There is no audience without one. There is no crowd without one. There is no group without one. It is the accumulation of the ones. It is the accumulation of the individuals, plural. And even plural is questionable because it's only one. You have to understand this and you have to get this. This is very important according to this video touching upon the aspect of mind. Are you of your mind or are you just a brain prisoner that just constantly drains and zaps out the energy of this body through emotion and feeling all the damn time, through the gates of judgment? This is not about judgment. This is not about emotion. This is not about feeling. That is not what mind is. That is what the brain is. Know the difference. So if you are becoming emotional right now in this moment, and I'm talking about mind, then you are being of the brain. And you are poisoning your system, your physical body, with all kinds of toxins that rain down from the brain down. It's a chemical, a whole bunch of chemicals. That's why this is based upon alchemy. This is why alchemy is so important when it comes to this kind of gnosis understanding. Okay? So, let me go back to the lesson. The one listening, okay, receiving information from someone can have a very gluing and magnetic effect on another learning mind, i.e., the one on the receiving end, the one on the learning end, the one who is listening and giving their attention. Okay. Once this happens, if the one who is learning is not aware and conscious of that very moment and the principles taking place in that very moment, the learner or the one learning will begin to follow that person and or the information that that person is sharing with them. This is what you call being religious minded and praying for miracles. You are an oracle. An oracle does not pray for a miracle. The oracle makes the miracle happen. Okay? Just an understanding. Remember, I'm just a doorway. I'm just a conduit. I'm just a messenger with a certain kind of message. Remember, when you have a message, and that means that you have become the Messiah. The message is the Messiah. The message is the age of Messiah. So you become the age of Messiah once you have your own unique message to share with others. Not some shit vomited and regurgitated out from somebody else that you were following or other people you were following. You become a chaos being. Become the chaos being. Pure chaos. Pure chaos doesn't mean to be violent and start wars and go crazy on the outside of society and people and civilizations. No. It's an alchemical disposition. It's an alchemical implosion. It's a realization. It's a form of enlightenment that happens to you that you may put in words, but even the words that you put it in still doesn't justify the experience happening within you, which is what I do. All the words I explain on this shit, it still doesn't justify what I'm trying to explain because it can never be explained. It can never be on the external plane. It is an internal experience that all happened or began to happen or began to sprout and grow and spark when I idukare, when I recognized I had a mind. It all began from the ground of mind. Do you have a damn mind? If you do, then this channel is for you and yours. Spread the shit to people who have a mind or who ain't afraid to access their mind and expand their mind and enhance the intelligence of their mind. This is what this is for. Okay? Now, this next doorway is for people who have mates, mostly people who have a mind, somewhat out that relationship, whether you or your woman, or you have a mind and your woman doesn't, or where you have a mind and your man doesn't have a mind. Because in a relationship, there's always this kind of ratio where one has a mind and the other one is just still in their brain. People who have a mind are not really great in relationships, or what is known as relationships, such as myself. Like I said, because this is a path which you become very alone. Relationship is about, coming together, making things happen and stuff like that. Even though there is a chemistry where you can actually still be alone in your mind and still make things happen and function and operate um, beautifully in a relationship. But this kind of path is not relationship famous. Still in all, you can still have a beautiful relationship if the one that doesn't have the mind or hasn't accessed their mind is willing to understand your gnosis of what a mind is and is willing to enter into theirs and begin to sprout and open theirs to meet you so that you can have the divine meaning. You can become the androgynous entity. Okay? So this next doorway I'm gonna touch upon is for people for relationships, of course, intimate relationships, where one mate has a mind and the other one is still in their brain, still in their program, still in their thoughts, or still in their identity, or still in their followings, or still in their movements, or still in their congregation, or still in their religion, or still in their groups and crowds. This is something to see, detect uh, within situations of a relationship. The next doorway is if your mate, the one who is of the brain, says things to you like, well, where should I go then? How should I think? What do you think I should do? You didn't tell me to do it, so I didn't do it. These are telltale signs that your mate may not have yet developed a mind or soul. These are telltale signs that your mate may not have developed a mind yet. A mind or soul does not wait for instructions, does not wait for directions. It just does what it does in the best way it sees fit for its nature, for its situation, and for its purpose. Because it has true faith in its own instruction and its own navigation of self. And whatever self instruction and self navigation that happens, they feel and know that it will always be in their best interest no matter what. Because they know that nothing here is against them in any way, and that nothing exists outside of them. Take that shit in for a second. This is also very important to understand. When your mate says, what should I do then? Well, you didn't tell me to do that. Well, how should I think then if you didn't tell me to think that way? I didn't do that because you didn't tell me to do it, so I just wasn't done. What do you want me to do? Well, you didn't tell me to come. Well, you didn't tell me to show up. Well, you didn't tell me to wear that. Well, you didn't tell me to come get you. You didn't tell me to drive there. You didn't tell me you was going there. This is a person that's trapped in personality, identity, thoughts. They're looking for you to move them. They're looking for you to think for them. But you have enough shit to do. You have to move you and think for you. You don't have time. One who's of the mind does not have time to move somebody else and to think for somebody else. They want that specific individual, their mate, their husband, their wife, their woman, their man, to think for their self, to move their self. See, to figure things out on their self, I mean by their self, for their self. I don't have time to think for you. I don't have time to make you move like a little puppet on a string, like you're my puppet on the string. I want to see what you do, and in turn, that will tell me something. about the experience I'm having and the person I'm having the experience with, and to see what joins, what connects, what disconnects, what's clear and what's static. When a being is of their true nature, of their true accordance. When two beings are of their true accordance and of their true nature, whatever plays out and transpires is meant to be. Don't look for someone to manage you, for someone to tell you what to think, where to go, how to dress, what to do. Somebody that has a mind takes offense to that because they're saying, I don't want no damn slave. I don't want no damn robot. I don't want no cyborg. I'm trying to deal with a human being who actually accesses the intelligence of their mind. Because I'm trying to take this mind to a whole nother level which may not haven't even been discovered yet. This is what someone of a mind is about. Okay, so if you are seeking instruction and direction from your mate, then you are of the brain. Plain and simple, period. You have not yet accessed your mind and have full potential or full access to it. You may have glimpses of it where you say, you know what do you want me to do? As a matter of fact, I'll just do this. That's an access to the mind. But then later on down the line, an hour from now, maybe that night, maybe the next morning, maybe the next week, maybe the next month, you may say, well, you didn't tell me to do that, so I didn't do it. See, now you just fell back into the brain. You fell back into the identity. You fell back into the personality. And that will trigger somebody that has a mind. Because they may get pissed off and say, well, why are you waiting for me to tell you what to do? Why don't you just do it and let me see? Let me witness what you do. And that in turn will spark an intelligence within me to counteract that, to bring about a balance and harmony between us. See what I'm saying? So, one that is of their mind nature appreciates another who is of their mind nature. One who is of their mind also has patience and has sympathy and compassion for one who is of the brain. Because that one who was of the mind was also of their brain at one time, i.e., myself. I went through certain systems, I went through certain religions, I went through certain spiritual systems, different spiritual institutions, beliefs, which brought me back into the knowing. Knowing is also connected to the mind. The mind is a knowing intelligence. It knows. It's a knower. It's the knowing apparatus. See? So when you have two knowers in a relationship, in an intimate relationship, that's a powerful, powerful, powerful organ. Because within the oscillation of their transactions with each other and interactions with each other, there's something sprouting from that. Something magnificent, which I can't even put into words right now. But you won't even be able to define or describe. You can't deny the experience that's taking place within that specific time and space. Okay. The next doorway is these teachings are not a matter of inferiority or superiority, greater or worse. This is simply just a matter of recognition and realization. Once you recognize the mind, the realization automatically happens as a reflection and reactionary of the principle of recognition. Like I said before, and I'm going to say it again. How do I access the mind? All you have to do is recognize that there is mind. All you have to do is recognize mind itself. Once you recognize mind, you automatically slip into that mind, or you automatically slip into the groove of mind. And when you look back, you see the brain. It's that simple. This shit ain't rocket science. You don't have to be a genius to understand what I'm saying. This is for the simple-minded people, thinkers, seekers, knowers, or those who are seeking to know, those who are seeking to expand, those who are seeking to enhance, to go beyond the boundaries of their mental template or something that was made for them subconsciously. Those who are willing to be conscious to look back or glance back upon that subconscious aspect of themselves and reorganize it into something that best suits them in their present status of being. One who is not afraid, nor hesitant, nor resistant to their own programs of their brain. Okay? So, like I said, this ain't about somebody being greater or worse than somebody. Nah, it ain't about somebody being inferior or somebody being superior. When you're of the mind, you're just of the mind. And when you're of the mind, you're going to understand exactly what I'm saying in this video. And you're going to get it crystal clear. It's going to come so simple to you. You're just going to relate with it because you are being it. I ain't the only one being this shit. You're being it too. So you understand, you correlate, and we can have a conversation and communicate on a whole nother level in front of a crowd of people, and that whole crowd won't understand the damn thing that we're talking about, or even how we're conversing with each other, communicating with each other. That's the power of mind. See? Okay, the next doorway is to be of mind is to be the cosmic Christ energy or Christ consciousness or of the unconscious Christios. It is to be of chaos, like I said before. It is to be opposite of the conventional ways, to be opposite of human customs or opposite of humanity, period, altogether. For those people who are involved into how should I put this? Into the ways of a person, a supposed person called Jesus. Understand this. The same way Jesus went against the ways of human law and human government by turning over the tables and mad at people for betting and using money and all some stuff that happened in the Bible, is to be of spiritual accordance. So what am I saying? To be of mind is to be of the true Christ. If you want to be who you know and or what you know as the Christ, is to be of the mind. When you are the mind, then you are the Christ, or you are the Christios energy. This is some interesting right here, this moment. Say something. You know how you spell mind, M-I-N-D, right? Now, the letters M and I, when turned in different directions or different ways and angles, create the number 13. When you take the M and you turn it sideways, it becomes a 3, or however you want to put it, it becomes a 3. You take the I, it's also a 1. So the letters M and I is the number 13. Follow me. The letters M and I turned in different ways and angles create the number 13. So to be of mind is to be of the 13 mindset. To be outside of 1 through 12. So to be of the 13 mindset is to be outside of the numbers 1 through 12, like the numbers on your clock, the numbers on your watch. It's to be outside of what we know as time. So to be outside of time is to be inside of mind. When you are inside of mind, you are outside of time. Right? Follow me. Follow me. To be of mind is to be of the 13 mindset, to be outside of 1 through 12, to be outside of the clock and the watch, to be outside of time, to be outside of the zodiacal pattern, to be outside of the zodiac, to be all signs, which is the 13 mindset, to be all signs rather than just one sign, to be the ringleader that tames all 12 lions in the ring. That's why Jesus was surrounded by disciples, which were nothing but followers, because he was the true leader or the true leading force, or he was symbolic, or he represented the true leader or the true leading force. You add Jesus to the 12 disciples, you get him as being the number 13. Okay? While Jesus, the 13th one, was the leader. So to be the ringleader that tames all 12 lions in the ring. That's why Jesus was surrounded by disciples, or 12 disciples, which were nothing but 12 followers, because he was the leader or the leading force, or the 12th, or the 12. He was the leader or the leading force of the 12 zodiac signs, while Jesus, the 13th one, was the leader. Jesus is symbolic or represents the mind, the Christ. It is to be of the soul's nature, or the solar nature, or the sun's nature. The black sun inside you, not that glowing holographic illusional sun out there floating in the air somewhere, but the black sun inside of you, Sirius B, i.e., rather than the spirit's purpose. So to be of the Christ is to be the number 13. To be 13 is to be outside the cycles of time. To be 13 outside the cycles of time is to be within the timeless mind. See? The spirit is governed within time. The soul is a thing. It is an abstract phenomenon that exists outside the cycles of time. Okay? I was gonna share some, but I will do that for another video. Now, what I'm gonna share next is this is what can actually uh, help you to make breakthroughs through your programs and identities, and how human life is and this physical reality is governed to enter into a whole different kind of abstract way of existence, or to acknowledge it, to know that there's something somewhere else, that this here ain't the end all be all of your true existence. Okay, this ain't the epitome of the I within the you. Okay, the next doorway is: did you go through supernatural experiences in your life, outer body or body suspension during deep meditation, or near-death experience? The sleeping aspect, which is called the witch right in your back, or sleep paralysis. These things are of the mind realm. What do you mean by that? How so? Because you are witnessing these events unfolding and taking place. So where are you? Sleep paralysis, witch ride in your back, near-death experience, out of body, body suspension during deep meditation, all these things that you are able to drop back into the body, come back and have a memory and a full recording of what just took place. But my question to you is, who the hell was recording it? What was looking at all these events taking place? Who was the one witnessing these things happening? What was witnessing these things happening? In better words, clearer understanding. The mind. And the recording and the memory of it is the utilization of the brain for the memory and the recording of what just took place, which you may not understand, which may have scared the shit out of you. But for some reason, you were able to draw back the memory, which is what you call in biology or biological terminology or anatomical terminology as the acetylcholine, which draws from the hippocampus. When you draw a memory, you say, oh yeah, I remember this shit happened or that happened. That means when you say that, you have just drawn acetylcholine from the hippocampus part of the brain. You can draw a memory back. But my whole question to you was, like I said before, who was present for the memory to take place? What was present for the memory to take place? What was looking at what was going on? The mind. Have you gone through supernatural experiences? Sleep paralysis, switch right on your back, etc. These things are of the mind realm, the witnessing mind in witness, which means that which happens or occurs outside of the brain's expectations, that which is the element of surprise, outside the ordinary, foreign to the norm, outside of the pre-set up and predetermined possibilities, outside of the pre-calculated moves before the moves were moved. This is the mind. This is how you know that you are of the mind, or that you are connecting to the mind, or the mind intelligence is trying to connect to you, it's trying to convey something to you so that you infuse back with it, or that you wake it up, or that you pull it out, or bring it forth, or call it forth, or conjure it up, or induce it, bring it out. This is why I say just because you're here in this moment does not mean that you have accessed your mind to its full capacity, or at least to half of its capacity. You can have a brain, but that's secondary to the mind. If you are a primal being and of a primal nature, why wouldn't you want to get back to the primal point of your essence? The next doorway is one who can admit that they're in the program, see the program, know of the program's purpose, and step out of the program at will is of the mind. Simple. One who can admit that they are in a program. One who can admit that they see the program. One who can admit and know of the program's purpose. And one who can step out of that program or those programs at will is of the mind. Just recognition alone of the program simultaneously creates space between you and the program. Because in order to see something, there has to already be a distance in existence or a distance created in that same moment. To be of mind is to not be of belief. To be of mind is to seek knowing. I need to know. I can't rest until I. It's bothering me not to know. I need to know. So, to be of the mind is to be of the knowing aspect, looking back on its past beliefs. So, if you can look back on something and say, damn, I remember when I was believing that, or when I believed that, or when I was in that belief system, or when I was in that belief system, or that belief system. Damn, I don't know what was going on. I mean, you know what? Hey, maybe it was supposed to happen. If it wasn't supposed to happen, it wouldn't have happened. So maybe I was supposed to be in that category, in that belief system, for whatever reason. time and season. But where I'm at now, I'm no longer there anymore. I just take those teachings and I make them a part of me. I don't make myself a part of those teachings. I make those teachings a part of me. That's the difference from one who has a mind to one who is still stuck in their brain. See the difference? The next doorway is the mind is one who hovers bird's eye view over the brain. The one who isn't afraid nor hesitant to step outside of their routine, their habit, their cycle, and their orderly ways to receive something which is other than or otherworldly, to go against the grain of their upbringing and their rearing. Just because your parents and your grandparents and your closest friends and your closest people put you onto a certain kind of system of belief or belief system or religion or following of some sort does not make them right. It does not make them right and exact in your personal experience. Something was passed down to you for whatever reason. Because those people that passed down that system of belief, spiritual, whatever, passed down to you, they passed it down to you in good faith. Especially when it comes to grandparents or parents. When it comes to people outside, I don't know, people out of genders, all kind of shit. They just want you to follow them, to get money out of you, or to keep you in their congregation, or to keep you in their following, and all this other shit. People have wicked agendas. But if it was passed down from your grandparents and your parents, most likely it was in good faith. Or they tried to teach you what they knew best their self to their best degree. Whatever they knew, they just taught you. But it does not make them the epitome of how you navigate through your life. Learn to take things and put it in your backpack and keep walking on your path. They share something with you. That's it. Now, it is the mind that determines, that says, we're making that a part of us, we're not making us a part of that. The brain says, oh, I have to follow that. I have to follow them. I have to be a part of them. I have to do what they do, when they do it, how they dress. I have to dress how they dress. I have to speak how they speak. I have to walk how they walk. I have to talk how they talk. That's the brain, because the brain is the identity. It's seeking an identity. It's seeking to create a personality, which is nothing. I told you, the identity and the personality are nothing but two playgrounds for the ego to go back and forth, which keeps you in these cycles and these habits and these routines, which tries to keep you away from the mind. It's trying to keep you busy, trying to keep you occupied. Don't look at the mind. Don't recognize the mind. There's no mind. What's a mind? There's no such thing as a mind. No, 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 no. See? Like two turntables, like a DJ. Identity, personality. It just keeps you scratching. This is what the brain does. It keeps scratching. It keeps you scratching. It keeps you scratching in this tune, in this melody. It does not want you to know that you are the actual DJ with the hands that put the record on the turntable. It doesn't want you to know that you are the DJ with the records. There would be no scratching, there would be no music without the DJ, without the record, without the one conducting and maestroing the whole orchestration of that situation. You understand? This is the intelligence of mind, to decipher what from what. Okay? This is why I say the mind is one who hovers bird's eye view over the brain. The one who can see the brain, the one who can see programs, identities, the one who can see their cyclic nature, or who can see that they were in a cycle, or who can see that they were in a routine, or who can see that they were in a habit at one time for whatever reason. And it's not a good reason or a bad reason, just was a reason, just was what it was at that time. But where are you now? Who are you now? What are you now? That's the point. Okay? And our upbringing and our rearing, these things these become our subconscious foundation. Because the subconscious is the foundation and the conscious is the structure. So yeah, I mean, while you're conscious, you're looking back upon the subconscious foundation. And it is your foundation. This is what is so, I don't want to say difficult, but this is what is the challenging aspect. This is the whole challenging point, because you're looking back on your foundation, which you are standing on, and you're trying to re-scramble it and break it apart and create a new foundation while you're still standing. But what are you standing on? Because there's no foundation anymore. That whole foundation has just broken up because you have shined mind on it. But nonetheless, you are still present, which means that you can create a new foundation. You can go back to your old foundation. You ain't got to break up all the things that you were subconsciously trained and taught as a child. Some pieces and remnants can stay there, but it's of no harm to you right now. It's no more of a harm to you because you're no longer the brain, you're of the mind. Back when you were of the brain, you look back at certain things that happened in your past and you got pissed off and angry. But now when you become mind and you look back at things in the past, you just say, oh, I understand why I was that personality or I was that avatar at that time. And I understand why I was getting mad at that. But I don't give a shit about that. I forgive my own ignorance. I forgive my own human ways, my own human condition, my own human upbringing. That is a person or an individual who is of their mind, who can look back at the programs and identities and personalities and can say, oh, I get it. I was supposed to be that at that time in order for me to be what I am now in this now time. I accept it. I embrace it. I neutralize it. Here I am. This is an individual of their mind. I just wrote this down. In between man and woman, woman to man. By nature, a woman, according to my learnings and my experience and my understanding, which I'm still learning, I'm still experiencing, and I'm still understanding in this very moment. But according to this very moment, what I understood about woman is a woman is chaotic in spirit, but orderly in mind. A man is chaotic in his mind, but orderly in his spirit. Okay, understand that difference. If that difference does anything for you, can help you, assist you in your relationship, your intimate relationship with your mate, your husband, your wife, your experience. Um, that's what's up. Okay, so that's why I said a woman is chaotic in spirit, but she's orderly in her mind, which means she wants structure, she wants security. She's orderly in her mind, but she's chaotic in spirit, which is why even the animal kingdom, the the females in the animal kingdom, they're the most vicious uh, species, the most vicious thing in the animal kingdom as well as human nature. A man would just walk behind another man, shoot him in the head or something, or kill someone, just dig him up, throw him somewhere, and just leave it be. A woman will want to claw, scratch, tear, and rip the skin and the flesh off of someone's body. It's a big difference. She's vicious. She's chaotic in spirit, but she's orderly in her mind. She wants a house, she wants structure, she wants shelter, she wants to be secure, security. You know, she's secure, she's orderly in her mind, but chaotic in her spirit. A man is chaotic in his mind, which is why we're always in the sky. Our mind is always up. We're always looking around, observing, analyzing certain things. A man, not a male, always see the difference. A man is of his mind. He is chaotic in his mind, but he is orderly in his spirit. See, I find order in my spirit because as a product or as a result of my chaotic mind. Okay, this is the difference. Okay, the next doorway is to be of mind is to become the parents of God and the grandparents of gods, to see the game of life for what it truly is and not fall victim to its trappings. So to be of mind is to become mommy and daddy of God. I am of mind, which means I am the mommy and daddy of what you know as God. Because I am mind, I am the grandparents of gods, plural. Okay. Uh, the next doorway is to be of mind is to be of mound, which is to be the top third point, looking back at the two opposing sides or two opposing points in friction and in conflict with each other, and choosing not to participate in that illusional involvement, i.e., the left and right hemispheric sides of the brain. The mind is the mound. The mound is nothing but a hill or a hilling. The hill is the third point. This is why I said I'm the third point looking back at the two opposing sides, i.e., the left and right brain hemispheric sides of the left and right hemispheric sides of the brain. I'm able to look at the argument of the brain and the conflict and the friction of the brain because I am of the mind. And I don't join and participate in the arguments. Or if I do, I don't last there long anymore because I reside and retreat right back to the mind. It may have a certain kind of influence over you. It may have a possession over you for a few minutes or so, maybe a day, but you ultimately resort and retreat back to the residence of mind. This is a person who is of their mind. This is a person who has a mind, who has activated their mind, who has accessed their mind, who remains in their mind more often than not. Person who is of the moment. To be of the mind is to be of true confidence and true faith. When you have confidence in your faith and faith in your confidence, you are of the mind. You see why it goes back to one? It keeps going back to one. It keeps going back to you by yourself. Analyzing yourself, observing yourself, self-reflection, and then self-projection. Self-reflection leads to self-projection. You project the self that you have reflected. Okay? To be of mind is to be of true confidence and true faith. To have confidence in your faith and to have faith in your confidence. To be of mind is to be able to address, confront, and neutralize the programs, the identities, the personalities, and the cycles of your brain. This is to be of mind. If you are of mind, this is ways to tell if you are of the mind. To be of mind is to always be at least willing to deprogram and reprogram your brain. You can't deprogram and reprogram your mind, but you can deprogram and reprogram your brain. Okay? So to be of mind is to at least be willing. To at least be willing to deprogram and reprogram your mind. But in order to be willing, you have to be convinced that those are programs, personalities, and identities which you no longer are and never were to begin with. You have to have a knowledge of this. You have to be convinced. You have to convince yourself of the truth and the knowledge of what it is. So nothing to do with imagination, something illusional. This is real. This is reality. This ain't the land of make-believe. This is real shit. So this is when you know you are of mind because you're at least willing. Like, damn, I was that shit. I was comfortable in that church. I was comfortable in that congregation, though. I was comfortable around those people. I liked them. That crowd was nice. That society was cool. It was okay. Damn, I'm not there, though. I'm just not there. And I can't deny that I'm not there. Something else is pulling me. Something else is calling me. Something else is grabbing my attention and holding my interest, and I cannot deny that. I have to let that program go because there's something else talking to me, communicating to me, that's making sense to me. And for some reason, I just get it. I don't know why I get it. I don't know why it makes sense to me, but I just get it. Therefore, I have to deprogram myself or reprogram myself into another me, to the new me, into the next me. You know why? Because I now know better. That's why I am a mind being now. Okay. To be of mind is to supersede thought itself. So to supersede thought just means to recognize and realize that you are composed of different thoughts, trying to hold you prisoner and possession with behavior, emotion, and feeling. It's trying to keep you stuck, anchored, and sunk into the human uniform and the human condition and the physical reality, which is nothing but a temporal experience. Go into your permanent existence, not your temporal experience, not your corporeal validation, but your spiritual confirmation. Know the difference. To be of mind is to witness thoughts. No, to be of mind is to see feeling rather than to feel feeling. To be of mind is to witness thoughts rather than to identify as that thought. I'm making it clearer and clearer and clearer for you to understand. To be of thought is to have knowledge of repetition or repetitious behavior, to recognize repetition, to analyze repetition, and to cease repetition when it is of no benefit to you, when it no longer serves you and your purpose, your divine purpose. Okay? To be of the mind is to be the rebel rather than the docile. To be of mind is to be in favor of a predated discovery. This goes to people and belief systems that have these things that were dated at 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. But if you find something which was 10,000, 20, 40, 50, 60,000 fathom, 20,000, 50, 60,000 prior to what you learned, which you thought was 2,000, 3, 5,000 years old, you have to now be in favor of that predated discovery. You no longer can play in where you were once at anymore because you found something in that where you were once at that predated that place where you were once at that now resides here. So you now have to be in favor of here. This is the expansion of mind. This is the suspension from the brain. This is to be of mind. Do you have a mind? So that's why I said to be of mind is to be in favor of a predated discovery. Predated discovery. To be of mind is to kiss the ground rather than the building. To embrace the foundation rather than hug the structure. This is an individual who is of their mind. The next line in the doorway is create mind muscle or mind strength. This is a fun fact to understand. Just as the body develops mass, i.e. muscle, when you are going against gravity or exercising or working out or lifting weights, so does the mind when you are of anti-gravity or anti-gravital nature. i.e., the human brain waves. And a little side note, the body creates mass, muscle, and mass because you're pulling away from gravity or the physical nature. So it puts mass and weight on you to try to keep you anchored on the ground within mass, gravity, and weight. So, in other words, the more you enhance your mind, the more seemingly influential the ego, the personality, and identity in the brain may try to have a heavier effect on you, because you are becoming anti-gravity mentally. When you are of your mind, you are being of an anti-gravital nature. You are not falling victim to the ways and laws of gravity. You are anti-gravity. You are being the chaos molecule, which is what is known also as quantum physics in a certain way of understanding. If I was to go into that more, I'm not going into that right now. But you are being of a quantum state of existence. So this is what to be of mind means. This is why, an example, you can have a balloon. You blow up a balloon, you tie a string to it, and at the top, the bottom of that string, you may tie like a little jewelry box on the bottom of that string, and you let the balloon go into the air. Now, as the balloon flies and floats into the air, the weight of that box at the bottom of that string becomes heavier. So yes, the balloon is flying. Yes, the mind is expanding, but the box is becoming heavier, and sooner or later it will begin to weigh down that balloon, and the balloon that was once in the air will find itself on the ground. It will find itself close to the ground. This is the same aspect of the mind, same aspect of being of the soul rather than the spirit. You see, the spirit is the animating force of the body. The soul is the animator, the one who created the animate, the one where the spirit derives from. The spirit derives from the soul, or the solar. So as you become of the soul, the spirit may try to be more influential, to bring you back down here, to put weight on you, to put mass on you, to make you a victim of gravity, rather than being the anti-gravital nature or the anti-gravital phenomena. So when you are of mind, it is wise to be aware that the brain may look like it's becoming more powerful, when in actuality it's actually becoming more weak and is starving from a loss of attention from you. Like I said, I've always give the example of two children. You have a son, you have a daughter, or you have two sons and two daughters, whatever. One child, you're playing with the child, you're playing with them, and the other child sees that you're not giving them attention. They may start to pull on your shirt, may start to call you daddy or mommy. Talk, look at me. You're looking at them, you're saying, okay, yeah, I'm over here, I see you, what's up? Okay, cool. The other one may pull you to this side, and pull you to this side, because you're giving attention to one more than the other. See? And if you're zooming in and paying attention to one for a very long time, the other one may start to yell, it may start to scream, it may start to cry, it may start to get loud. This is the same example of the brain. Because you are being of the mind, it'll start to scream, it'll start to yell, it'll start to get loud, it'll try to give you everything you want, it'll try to remind you of a personality or an identity that you once was, it'll try to pull you back into a belief system that you were once a part of, that you are no longer a part of, because you have became a knower now, you became deep into the gnosis of your mind. It'll try anything and everything to pull you back to its purpose. But stay focused in the mind, as the mind. Be of the mind and nothing else. Okay? Next doorway is, to have a mind is to be the leading force of a culture and society. To be of a spiritual and somewhat intellect nature. To be the universal antenna and cosmic conduit. to receive gnosis of the cosmos and lead the followers with a breakdown of these cosmic equations to make it make sense to the people on automation so that they can function in a normalized society created by the priesthood of mind. Now, I know that was a mouthful, an earful. People who led the culture or led cultures and societies were ancient priesthoods, and these were priesthoods of the mind. They led the society because they were the ones that were the conduit or the bridge from the cosmic life force to the cosmic living force. They were receiving transmissions and channels from the cosmos and the universe, and they were getting certain things, certain enlightenments in their mind that they would begin to say which direction and navigation the people should start moving in, what kind of civilization should be created. And these people that were in these crowds, that they were functioning, that they were moving or maestroing or orchestrating in different directions and navigations for divine and cosmic purpose. These were people who, or who is known as automatons, or people on automation, or people who were just on automatic thought frequency. They, i.e., these were people who did not have a mind of their own, who did not activate their mind, who did not access their mind, who did not tap into their mind, who did not cultivate their mind, who did not induce their mind, who did not conjure their mind, who did not wake up their mind, did no edukare. They did not pull out their mind. They didn't pull their mind forth. They didn't bring their mind forth. You see, they didn't enter their mind. So the priesthood of mind will access their mind, turned on their mind, led a people whose minds were not turned on. And this is what you have now. This is why we have politics, governments, and things of that nature. These people have astrologists behind them. Believe that. People who are cosmically in tuned, universally in tuned, spiritually in tuned. They inform them, and the government informs the people. Because it's a society of people who are mindless, who are followers and believers, who are repetitious, who are cyclic, who fall in habit and routine and old past subconscious human behavior. They need to be led or directed or navigated. This is how things were. This is how things unfolded and how things were orchestrated back in those times, and why today is just a mimicking of those times, of that same kind of monarch, of that same kind of hierarchy of order. See, this is why it's so important to activate your mind. Not your brain. The brain is garbage. The brain is a part of the matrix. Like I said before, in ancient Egypt or antiquitous Kemet, or the antiquitous times of Kemet, the Cometians, when the body was mummified, or when they disposed of the body, the first thing they took out the body was the brain. They put a hook up the nostrils of the dead body and pulled out the brain because it was garbage, and they threw that shit in the trash because they knew that was the trappings. That was the thing that had that person when that person was alive. Think that his name was this or her name was that, or that they were that person or this person. That was a person that was an automaton, a person on automatic stimulus, automatic stimulation. They just thrived and lived off of stimulation. They didn't actually live, they were just breathing. You begin to have a mind, you access your mind and be about your mind, then you begin living. Until then, if you're just being of activity in your brain, you are just breathing. You are not living. There's a difference between breathing and living, between experiencing and existing. These are differences. Good. The next doorway is, there is a thought form, or this is a very interesting This is a very, very interesting point right here. Give me 1 nanosecond. I gotta go in this. Almost finished. Right. Right. Yes. Right. Back from the commercial break. Had to go pay the water bill real quick. Okay, this next doorway is a very interesting something to keep in mind about thoughts. There is a thought form created in every space, spot, and location you put yourself in and return back to throughout your home, in your bathroom, where you stand in your kitchen, where you sit in your couch, your car seat, by the gas tank, by the gas pump, on your stairs, behind your front door, in front of your front door, at stores, by the store counter, supermarkets, and certain supermarket aisles, outside and inside. These are thought forms that form themselves through the potential of your mind and the possibility of your brain, and subliminally substantiated themselves in your reality as a so-called real thing, or you talking to yourself. But in reality, it isn't you and never was you to begin with. What am I saying? How you sit right now, if I'm sitting on this couch right now, and I think a certain way, say I'm thinking of something, thinking of, no, okay, well, I want to make some quinoa today so I can have some for today. And I'm just thinking about quinoa and the different grains with the different colors. Oh my, red quinoa, the brown one, the black one. I'll figure it out later. Now, say I move from the spot and I go somewhere else. The person that comes and sits in this spot that I was just thinking about quinoa, and time doesn't matter. When a person falls in the same spot or the same slot or the same position and space that you were in, that person will, they could be thinking about something totally different. Okay, yeah, well, I'm thinking about this. You know, they sit in the couch while I'm sitting there. They think about, okay, look, I'm trying to go next. I'm going to read that book next. I'm going to read that one too. And all of a sudden, they'll just think, you know, I don't want some quinoa. Why am I thinking about quinoa? I don't even eat that shit. That's interesting. They have just took on your thought form. They have now just fell into the slot of your thought at one time. So, however you think and whatever you think, at certain times, at certain places, spots, and locations that you are at, when somebody else or you go back into that same spot, whether you're standing by over the sink, cleaning dishes, and you're thinking a certain way, or you're over the stove and you're cooking something, or you're by the stairs, in front, on top of the stairs, or down the stairs, or walking down the stairs and thinking a certain way, or downstairs cleaning clothes by the laundromat, in the house, or the washer or the dryer, or in the bathroom, or in the shower, or brushing your teeth by the mirror, or in the bedroom, or on the bed, or by the closet. Anywhere, everywhere that you have these thought forms, these thoughts stay there in those specific spots and locations and spaces. And when you come back into that spot, location, and space, you automatically have that same reoccurring thought. This is something very important to understand. But if you don't return there, whoever goes in that spot, that space, and that location where you had that thought, they will begin to think that thought and will not know why they are thinking that thought. It'll just pop into their slides of thoughts and become a slide within the slide of their thought frame. This is the wicked intelligence of thought. This is why I'm sure that plenty of you with your mate, where you have argued before and where you had conflict and friction, don't you see it's the same reoccurring spots and locations in the house, in the car, in the same stores, during the same walks, where you sit at, where both of you sit at, where both of you stand at? Do you see that the same reoccurring thoughts occur and the same feeling pops up and the same emotions happen and the same violence or the same conflict and friction keep reoccurring in those same spots, that you had those same arguments, that you had those same disagreements, that you had those same disputes in a specific car seat, in a specific spot on the couch, in a specific location in the living room? Don't you see that? You think the same way. When you're in the shower, you have the same reoccurring thoughts. When you're brushing your teeth, you have the same reoccurring thoughts. Don't you see it? Thoughts are things. They're not something that's not real. They are real things. And you have to be mindful of this intelligence at work and at play, how it functions, what it is. Talking about thought at the moment. Okay? This is the wild intelligence of what a thought is. You can bring things to you by thinking a certain way. This conversation can go in many different directions right now, talking about, but I'd rather hold that for like a Zoom session or one-on-one individual conversation while I'm in depth and more into this specific gnosis of what thought is. Only for those who are of the mind. Okay? So just know that's another function of thought and what thought is. Okay, so if you don't want to, you could be thinking of your woman a certain way. You could be thinking of your man a certain way. And you could be at your job and say you in the bathroom and you leave that store. Say you in the bathroom and you in the store and you have a thought about your man and how beautiful he looked, how handsome he was. Or you may be having a sexual thought that you had with your man in that bathroom stall. When you finish in that bathroom stall and you flush the toilet and you leave out that store, that next woman that comes in that store and uses that store, she will see your man the same way that you used your mind or your brain to conjure up that thought and be in that moment of that thought that you and your man had sexual pleasure or you were intimate, that you held the thought in that moment while you were in that bathroom. in that store using it before, and when you left, somebody else came in that store and used that same store that you have just left. It could be 5 minutes from then, it could be an hour from now, it can even be a day from then. All the people that go in that store will have the same thought that you had just left there. And they will think of it. And they can see your man or your mate through your thought mind, through the thought that was left there. And then see, unconsciously or subconsciously, she will begin to seek your man. Or she may bump into him somewhere, at some place, at some time, in the supermarket, outside the laundromat, walk into a car. They may cross paths because you left that thought there in that stall and you were thinking that way when you went to use the bathroom, and that thought stayed there. Thought is invisible, it's transparent. It's the same way as, your fingerprint is not the same as anybody else's fingerprint. Once you touch water, your fingerprint is left in that water forever, for all eternity. So you see, your thought is an imprint. It embeds the invisible atmosphere and stays as an eternal print in that space, spot, and location forever. And anyone who jumps back in that spot, including you, will have that same reoccurring thought, and they will see the same thing that you have just seen in your mind's eye. This is how real thought, mind, brain, all this shit is. Did you know that? And you wonder why things happen and things are meeting, because energies are mixing. You don't know. You are not being aware of your mind. You don't know what your mind is. You don't know what your brain does. You don't know how a thought functions. You are bringing things together and don't even know that you are bringing things together. You are infusing things that should be infused. You are creating meetings that should not have met. But do you know the functions of your brain, the nature of your thought, the nature of thought, and the principle of mind? This is just one example. I have a plethora of examples. But this video is not solely primarily focused on thought. We're going to stay focused on the subject at hand, which is mind. Okay. So to be of mind is to exit mortal combat and make immortal contact. This is what being of the mind is. To be of the mind is to exit the mortal combat and to make immortal contact with your immortality. So mind is also immortality, or the immortal nature of self. The next doorway is, do not look for some leader outside. Touched upon this a little before. Seek the leader within. Divert your attention from a leading form and redirect your attention onto a leading force. Be of a mitochondrial intelligence. Have faith and confidence in your spiritual Akasha, or your spiritual gnosis. Have confidence in your faith and have faith in your confidence. Be of your mind. Do not look for some damn leader outside. Seek the leader within. Because there is something that led you to that leader, right? If you went to a leader, and that means that there was something within you that is the leader that led you to that false leader, right? Does that make sense? Is that common sense, what I just said? Right? For you to go to that leader to lead you to something outside of you, there first had to have been a leading force within you that led you to that false leader, showing you that false Messiah. So why not take out the false third, the false second, and fall back to the primary leader which resides within. But you can only recognize that and realize that and access that and activate that if you are of your mind. It's the only way. This goes back to the thought aspect. Thoughts are actual things that you create in specific moments, spots, and locations. And even when you leave those specific spots, spaces, and locations, that thought thing stays there where you left it, waiting to repeat once again once you revisit that spot and location the next following time, or someone else may visit. Thoughts are floating, these things are floating thought forms, lingering things. They are things that linger in the invisible air, in the invisible realm. That's why every time you find yourself in that same space again, you have that same reoccurring thought and that same reoccurring voice playing over and over in your mind, trying to create itself and empower its purpose and position in your mind, hopefully, to house itself within your brain, to make you think that you are it, so that it can eventually take the place and the intelligence of you. Remember, everything is trying to trade places with you. This is how powerful you are, but you don't know it. You forgot it. This is what they call a sleeping God. What we call space. Now, this is what we're talking about space right now, which these thoughts linger in and find home and residence within. What we call space has to be thoroughly investigated because it's actually something or some kind of intelligence that can hold rooms or compartments for orbits of thought influence, seeking the possibility of animation and formation with the assistance of human behavior. It needs you to feel, it needs you to get emotional because it's trying to reside within you. Okay, it's trying to find home within you. Thoughts are hop-ins and hop-outs. Thoughts are jump-ins and jump-outs that can't stay in the moment too long without another thought soon taking its place between time and space. Holding one specific thought, whether ill or not, holding one specific thought, whether ill or not, from one moment into the stream of the next moment. Matter of fact, I'm going to say this is the next doorway. Now take this into consideration. Holding one specific thought, whether that thought form was ill, whether that thought was ill or not, from one moment into the stream of time to meet another moment, is equivalent to holding a stagnant energy in place from one planet to the next planet, from one organ into the next organ. Because planets rotate as a result when organs shift, because they're connected and are a reflection of one another. So say you go to sleep with an ill thought accompanied by an ill emotion in the evening. By the time you wake up the next morning, throughout all those 8 hours that passed, there were 8 planets that rotated and 8 organs that shifted. So in other words, you carried that moment, that ill thought, which was only supposed to exist in that specific moment, and carried it all the way throughout the stream of time through an 8-hour period, 8-planet period, and 8-organ period. So it now resides within you and becomes just that much more a part of your reality as the false nature it is and always was. And now you have difficulty and challenging times getting rid of his false residence within you and your mind pattern. As you have a thought in a moment, an ill thought, and you hold that shit and you still have it an hour from now, and then you have it the next morning from now, That is equivalent to going past many planets, going past many turns and shifts and axes, going past many different activations of organs within you. So you're carrying it from planet to planet, you're carrying it from organ to organ, from planetary body to planetary body, from organ to organ. You're making this thing which is only supposed to exist in the moment and disappear in the moment, and you gave it a time vehicle, which means you gave it a body, which means this is why it's trying to take you out of your body, replace you, and stay in your body and leave you without a body. This is where people get ill from ill thoughts, sickness, ailments, imbalances within the body, energy stagnations. It's taking you out of a body. Why? Because you gave it a body. So the natural thing would be, since you gave me a body, I guess you don't want that body that you're in. So let me jump in that body as the ill thought and the ill energy and the ill sickness. And let me take you out that body because you don't want that body. You just gave me a body. You gave me time. You gave me an 8-hour period. You gave me an 8-planet period. You gave me an 8-organ period. You made me a body. You gave me time. Therefore, I'm going to take your time away from you, which is what we call dying or death, and I'm going to take you out your body, and I'm going to replace your body with me, which is what we call transcending and leaving the body. This is common sense. But see, people that don't have a mind or who are stuck in the brain and the brain's workings is known as the death of common sense. If you have a mind and you access your mind, you are of your mind, then what I'm saying right now should make common sense. Because those who are of the mind seek the common thread, seek the common Godhead of understanding, of gnosis. One person can create a thought that can jump into another person's mind. Thoughts don't discriminate. It'll travel from one creator to another creator to another creator. This is the magnificent intelligence and workings of what we know as thoughts. So me touching upon mind, I also have to give a certain kind of synopsis of what thought is. Because I have to have you recognize and discern and decipher and discriminate to see the difference between this and that, that and this. The what and the who and the what. Okay. Next doorway is something maybe two or three more. To be of mind is to question your answers and then answer your questions. Meaning to always be willing to break your foundation to seek stronger foundation. If you find a crack or weakening in your foundation, which means if you find an interest and attention in something other than what you were taught to believe. If something else catches your attention, holds your interest, that is spiritual. That is trying to lead you back to the soul. That is trying to activate and awaken your mind. You can't deny that something else may. You can have a belief system. You may follow certain things, be of a covenant and a congregation and the people and the crowd and whatever the hell, the movement of some sort. That's fine. But while you are in there or of that following or of that teaching, and something else actually catches your attention and begins to hold your interest, and you can't deny that experience. If you begin to deny that experience, you begin to deny yourself. You begin to deny your spiritual purpose. You begin to deny your soul's purpose. You begin to ignore, neglect, and abandon your mind. To be free of thoughts. You become a prisoner of thought rather than to be free of thoughts. You become the orderly one rather than the chaotic nature or the chaos being that you truly are. Okay. Now, okay. The next doorway is thought exists and thrives on the basis and foundation of identity. which is the template intelligence of that moment. Okay? It's kind of self-explanatory. The next doorway is, this is for people who are vegan, vegetarian, who want to be healthy or exercise, yoga, breathing techniques, things of that nature, who are involved in the realm of health. Next doorway is, you can actually think yourself into health. The body is a veiny branch off of the brain. The body is also symbolically related to what we know as the tree of life, with the brain being the life and the body being the tree. What does this mean? This means that the tree appears, right? The tree appears because life is. So in other words, the body mimics the mind's point of focus. Gravity pulls downward. So what you think and how you think sinks downward into the body. The mind projects, the brain directs, the body connects. Okay? The mind projects, the brain directs, the body connects. Run that part back over in the video if you want to hear it again. But you can actually think yourself into health. When I deal with people dealing with health, I say, do you think vegetables are healthy for you? Do you think fruits are healthy for you? Do you think exercise is healthy for you? What do you think about breathing? These are one of the many questions I ask to see if the person is of their mind or if they're of their brain. To see where their connection is at. Because if they're of their mind, I can access, and they give me full permission to access into that realm of their mind. I can teach them to heal their self simply by just utilizing the devices of their mind. Which can have little to nothing to do with eating healthy. Because remember, if you want to even go deeper on that aspect of health, it's not what you consume, it's how do you get rid of what you've consumed. It's not really consuming, it's actually the getting rid of. Because fasting, the body feasts on itself, because fast means feast. It's the same word as feast. But where's the feast going? You're not eating, you're fasting. Correct. But the body is feasting on itself. So when you fast, you let their inner body feast on itself. A form of predation, negation, so to say. The next doorway is, the mind can also be the inspector of the brain. Only once you have access, cultivated, and activated the mind to be the main default of your beingness and your present. So the mind is also there to inspect the brain, to investigate the brain, to see the activity of what the brain has been doing. Once again, to deprogram and reprogram. If the present or the prior program does not best fit you or serve you anymore, or serve your new self, your now self. And this is to my subscribers. Once again, it's appreciated. The acknowledgement is always appreciated, as always and always. This is something that came to me with the word subscribe. When we subscribe to someone's channel, what is actually taking place, what is happening. Because this video will pop up as a notification. Being that you have subscribed to this channel. What is subscribe with? You subscribe. To subscribe is to make this a part of your subconscious. It is the present substitution of scribal gnosis. The present institution of your present institution of your present institution. So when you subscribe, you are making this a part of your subconscious. And what it is it is the present substitution of scribal gnosis. Subscribe, subconscious scribe, subconscious scribal gnosis. Thank you for making me a part of your mind, for making this path a part of you, or just being of mind, period, where we meet, where we have met. Amias, as I am, most importantly, as you are. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep your mind 1-0.